What's up guys, it's Bad Af for Af Gaming, and welcome back to the Kerbal Space Program. I don't believe I have put up a KSP video on this channel since we switched over from the old channel to the new channel, so with all fondness, welcome back to the Kerbal Space Program. It has been a while. I've truly missed this game. There was an update, I want to say recently, but really it's not that recent anymore. I meant to do a video covering it, but I forgot, and I got caught up in other videos I was doing. So, this is going to be kind of an overview of the new update while we start a career mode. And it's going to be a legit career mode, because in the update, of course, there was the addition of funds. I'm not sure exactly what the funds are, but funds. Obviously there's still science points in the research and development, but there are contracts that grant you science and funds, and there's also a reputation system where if you kill these little green guys here... Oh, I don't know if he likes it when I mouse over him. I don't know if that made him jump or not. It'd be interesting if it was interactive like that. Anyways, I get sidetracked easily here. Anyways, if you kill the Kerbals, then you lose reputation, and if you perform successful missions and complete contracts and rescue these guys, you gain reputation. And I'm not sure what that affects currently. I should probably look that up. The mods I will have installed here are, they're two small ones. It's the Visual Enhancements mod I had earlier, and Spaceplane Plus, which is a smaller alternative to the B9 Aerospace mod, which is a monster of a mod. It adds like 200 something parts, I think, 100 something parts, I don't know. It's a lot of parts and plugins and stuff, which it's a big mod, and I didn't really need all that stuff in a career mode. Spaceplane Plus only adds a bit of stuff to the spaceplane hangar, and I felt that that was needed because my two favorite parts of this game, I mean, building and launching rockets is fun, but I like space stations, which as of right now have no point, and I like space planes, which as of this point also don't really have a point in the game. So I did Space Planes Plus, and I will try and figure out a way of building a shuttle and making it a worthwhile use of a mission, because it's not like in the old career mode you just had science. Now launching missions does, you know, really cost you funds. I mean, you have to pay for each of the parts you put onto a plane, or a rocket, or whatever, or a lander, rover, whatever. You have to pay for each of those parts, and when you recover them, you get value back, depending on how close to the space center you are when you recover them. So that kind of makes space planes a little bit more valid as a technique, because you can send them up, like a shuttle type vehicle. You could send it up, do the science in orbit, and then bring it back down and land it at the runway and recover the maximum science value and part value from the mission. But unfortunately that's only valuable in Kerbin's sphere of influence, so that means that they're only viable for a little bit of time, after which I probably, in all reality, will have already done most of those missions by the time I unlock spaceplane, like viable spaceplane parts, which is disappointing. So we'll see how it goes. Anyways, I should probably jump into this. I don't believe, hold on, I don't think, yeah, I don't have any saves on this install. So, we will call this the legit career mode. Whoops. And legitimate career, they have science mode, which I don't know, they must have added that in a patch. I don't think that was there. Science mode is classic career. Career mode has contracts and whatnot, and sandbox, you just get whatever. And they also added the cool flags for each of the companies in the thing. I thought that was cool. I like these. They're funny. A lot of them. They're cool. I think that's really awesome that Squad took the time to go in and design flags for each of like the companies. Like, that just shows a lot of dedication in my opinion. I really like that retro flag though. It's cool. At some point we will get an AF gaming flag. I shall probably do that. Make the channel avatar logo into a flag. But I'm lazy and I haven't really done that yet. So let's start up the game. I realize I've taken up a lot of time talking at the beginning of this episode. So I will try and make this a short episode. Maybe we'll just do some contracts. So first we're going to go to the Mission Control Center, which is now an actual thing. And I'll grab up these two right here. Launch a vessel and set an altitude record of 5,000 meters, which shouldn't be all that difficult, and it gives you an advance in funds that looks like the square root symbol, and it gives you an advance in funds to help you complete the mission. It gives you a reward, which seems like a lot of money. Well, considering we only start out with 10,000, that is like almost 50% of our funds if we complete this, and the 5,000 altitude mark is a little bit less, and that's reputation, I think, is the stars. Yeah, that's the reputation bar. You start out with good rep because, well, you haven't killed anyone yet. No science, 10,000 funds. So I'm just going to go ahead and accept both of these. And we'll go ahead and design a vessel that can accomplish that. So obviously start out with a command pod because we don't have any probe bodies yet. Some of the missions are cool. Some of them are building, like testing parts, and they give you the part to test out, and you get an advance on that. That's cool. Okay, so with the tweakable system added in not this most recent update, but the one before that, the NASA mission update, you can now change the amount of fuel and stuff like solid rocket boosters. Obviously we want that at the highest, and the thrust limiter on those, so I can set those to burn at half power, so it'll burn a little bit longer but not with as much force. But we don't really need as much force. It's just a command pod and a parachute, and obviously it has the thrust to lift itself. We don't have really anything to start off. We will call this the Pioneer, I guess, because, well, it's the first of its kind. The first launch. As you can see here, when I take a part off, the funds go down that is required to build it, and when I pop a part on, it's added. Symmetry mode and stuff, the UI has been changed just a bit, not really a ton. Angle snap I want on. And that stuff's there. You can see your current funds and the funds needed to build. Here is your contracts tab. There's those, and that's your completed contracts tab, I believe. Go away, we don't want you. Okay. Staging is important. I obviously want that to fire. And then the parachute to open, because I have embarrassed myself with staging failures on the first mission many times before. Nothing to put in action groups, and of course, why wouldn't we want Jebediah flying the first mission ever? A true pioneer in spaceflight. So let's go ahead and hop out to the launch pad here. And we'll shoot this rocket off. Now, the majority of this series that I'm going to start here, I know I have a ton of series going on. I need to catch up on my Underused Guns of COD. I'm only on episode 2, I think, of that. I'm not really sure what to do with Let's Plays. I put up a Warface video the other day. Go check that out for sure. It's a fun game. I sounded kind of depressed in the video, I realized, when I was like rewatching it. And I really wasn't. I'm not sure why I sounded like that. I just kind of did. But it's not that it's such a horrible game. It's actually a really, really fun game. I don't know, I guess I was in a bad mood or something. Probably because school just started today and I was recording that video yesterday, so I knew that my impending doom was coming up. Like I said, I get sidetracked. So anyways, we're going to throw on the reaction, or SAS, not sure what that stands for, but keeps us pointed in the upwards direction, which is generally useful when launching rockets. So we're going to go ahead and do that. Thrust doesn't matter because we're using an SRB. The thrust is already limited. You can't see it there, but whatever. And 3, 2, 1, 0. We have liftoff of the first vessel, which means we have a completed contract here. We can go ahead and discard that. We will receive the funds. They have been wired to our private offshore account. No, nothing shady's going on with the Kerbal Space Program. what possibly could be. Besides murdering cute little green guys, but... Hey! And we also completed an altitude record. That was easy. These clouds look nice. I really like that mod. And we're out of fuel. What's our height gonna be here? Pop open the map. Look at our Apple app. Says 2019. It's falling due to air resistance, of course. So yeah, series on the channel. Right. I was talking about that. Meant to talk about that during this video. Underused Guns of COD, if you are a fan of that series, do not worry. It will be back. I have not just done 2 episodes and given up on it like I've done with some other series because I'm just kind of lazy and I don't really commit to stuff that well sometimes. So, I need to get back on that series, which I will do shortly. Expect a Underused Guns of COD video up by the end of the week. Also, another thing, I said I was going to do a channel update video. Also, expect that by the weekend. I'm going to try and crank out 3 videos for you guys this week. Since it is only the first week of school, I kind of want to up the content a little bit while I don't have homework, besides like signing forms and stuff, so that I can get some stuff out early because I know that later on I have a couple hard classes this year. So I know for a fact that I'm going to need to study sometimes, and that YouTube is going to be my not even second, probably third priority behind sports, and then of course academics come first. So YouTube's not going to be my top priority, and I don't think it should be, honestly. I have no problem with that. I mean, it's really not as important. I need to get the schoolwork done. I kind of shrugged last year, but this year I can't really afford to do that. So I got to buckle down and work hard. And we're coming down here. So yes, Guns of COD, Underused Guns of COD later this week, and channel update video later this week talking about school and personal things and channel series and whatnot. I feel like I'm starting too many series. I have what do I have? I have Minecraft. I need to continue. I haven't uploaded Minecraft in a long time. I mean, I uploaded one I believe last week, and it was kind of a flop. My whole Minecraft series is kind of a flop. I have the Unturned series, which I'm going to talk about. There's something going on with that. I need to talk about that. A lot of you have probably forgotten about it because it really wasn't all that popular. My Minecraft series is probably the most popular. Underused Guns of COD gets some views, and Justin Zombie's stuff gets quite a few views. He's pretty much carrying the views for the channel right now. I pump out a lot of content, but my stuff doesn't get viewed as much as his does, and so in response to that, he probably doesn't have to produce content as much, which I'm fine with. Yes, I know this. Don't show me this again. Alright, so we're coming down here, and oh, time warp. So yeah, that's pretty much what's going to be going on. I'll explain myself on the Unturned one if you're a fan of that for some reason. It's a fun game. If you guys haven't checked it out, go check it out on Steam. It is actually featured on the store page, I believe, still. I don't know if it still is, but it should be if it's not. And that explodes, but I was expecting that. Oh, God, well, I was too busy commentating. I forgot to grab science while we were A, on the launch pad, and B, in flight. But I guess that just leaves more science for later. It's not going to be as big of a first mission, though, although we do get science from the contracts we completed. Both of which we did complete that we accepted. Yes, crew report, of course. EVA. Apparently being on a ladder makes Jebediah think that he's flying, but hey, it's science, so that's whatever. Jump back in, drop that crew, or EVA report rather, there. Kind of rub your face against the front of the capsule, knock your chin on the rungs of the ladder, grab up a surface sample. This substance is what makes the scientists yell at us when we go into the lab without cleaning our boots first. Yeah, scientists can be picky about that stuff. And an EVA report. I don't think a spacesuit was entirely necessary to get here, was it? Well, you never know. You could have taken off. Planting a flag doesn't really seem that important. Hop on here, and hop on there. and recover the vessel for, well, I'll explain in a minute here. Okay, so crew report from KSC, 5 data gathered. Each data is worth 3.3 science value, so 1.5 science from that. EVA report while flying, technically on the ladder, 5.6 from that. Surface sample worth 9. That's actually surprising that it's that high. I mean, obviously in endgame that's really not any science whatsoever, but in the beginning stage here, that's enough to buy the first node and then one after that, I believe. EVA report from KSC 2.4 and recovery of a vessel that survived a flight, plus 5. Now if we go to the parts tab, you will see that the command pod Mark 1, there was one of those on here, and the part value was worth 576.24 square root funds or whatever, and we recovered as much because we landed back at the Space Center. If you land on this lighter green patch that counts as Space Center land, then I think it gives you the full value back, because as we see here, the parachute worth almost as much as the command pod, oddly enough. Well, I guess it makes sense. I mean, the command pod isn't really worth much if you're just smashing it into the ground because you don't have a parachute. Also receive the full value back on that, and the monopropellant in the command pod is actually worth money as well. So if you're really strapped for cash and you know you're not going to use the monopropellant, you can take it out with the tweakable and save yourself 11 bucks, but yeah, I don't know how helpful that will be in total. And we picked up 1001.56 funds from recovered parts, so that'll be dumped back into our account, which has a staggering 18,828 even. Really, that surprises me that that adds up so well, but hey, whatever. Alrighty, so we're going to the crew tab next, and Jebediah Kerman was recovered. He did not die on the first mission, which is usually a good thing. Available for new missions. 25 reputation gained from that, which is impressive. I did not know that was that high. So, we are at 47 reputation. As you can see, you get a lot of reputation just by doing the simple thing of not killing these guys, which, well, later on becomes not so simple when you're smashing them into other space objects. Yeah, I'm just babbling at this point, so we're going to click done there. And before I end the video, we're going to jump on over to research and development, grab this node up. That grabs us the decoupler, the mystery goo containment unit, and 2 fuel tanks, which aren't kind of important. And we can either choose from, what can we afford? 23, we can grab any of these, really. Okay. So it's between a liquid engine that has less thrust than the default one, but it has thrust vectoring, which is slightly important in getting to orbit. That's helpful. Sepratron, not really that important. I mean, it's helpful when you're building bigger rockets, but right now, not that helpful. The ejection force from the decouplers, which are in this node, I'll get to them, is usually enough to knock even these bigger solid rocket boosters away from a vehicle, which these are helpful. These are good. They're a stepping stone to the next level of solid rocket boosters added in the NASA mission update, which are longer burning and more thrust than these. It's a 3rd level. Previously these were the biggest ones, but they're not anymore, and they're still good. Here we have stability, nose cone, which I'm going to explain, and it's one thing I don't especially like about Kerbal Space Program. Now there is a mod to fix it, that mod being Ferrum Aerospace Research, FAR, as a lot of people know it by, and basically what that does is it makes the aerodynamic model, the model for aerodynamics that they use in KSP, work, make it better, because as of right now, if you mouse over, I don't know if it's, yeah, it shows you, okay. See, each part has an individual drag value, okay? And it's not based on, like, the aerodynamic, like, how it looks. Like, if you're going to throw a piece of paper and a dart, which one do you think is probably going to travel further? The dart, obviously, because it's aerodynamic, it's sleek, it's going to cut through the air. The paper is going to catch it like a parachute. Here, it's just a flat drag model, which basically means that each part is assigned an individual drag value, and that's it. It's not like drag as a craft based on how it's shaped and how it would cut through the air. Ferrum Aerospace does a much better job of modeling that. So here, in reality, slapping a nose cone onto like a solid rocket booster on the edge, that just increases drag. It doesn't cut down on drag. You would be going faster with the air just slapping the flat face of the top of the solid rocket booster than sticking a cone on there, because it has a drag value attested to it. Which means that each individual part, whether it's shaped in order to cut down on drag realistically, it still adds drag. So basically, it doesn't matter if you say, if I took 3 fuel tanks from 3 of these fuel tanks and stacked them on top of each other, it would have the same amount of drag as if I took 3 of these fuel tanks and stacked them next to each other, even though there's more surface area facing the direction that the wind is going to be dragging on them. Because of the flat drag model, it doesn't affect the aerodynamics whatsoever. So it's basically bipart. I don't know. That's just something that's kind of annoying, but if it's really annoying enough for me to want to fix it, I would get Ferrum Aerospace, which I don't. So I should probably just shut up about it. It's just something I wanted to explain for those of you who play and still use nose cones without having Ferrum Aerospace. If you have Ferrum Aerospace, definitely use nose cones. I mean, it makes you go so much better. It's night and day between nose cones and no nose cones. But in stock KSP aerodynamics, don't bother with them. Don't bother with stability fins unless they have like control within them, or you're going to put control surfaces on it for a plane. Don't bother with them either. It's just more money and more drag. Whether it looks like it'll cut through or not, it's more drag, more money, which means more fuel, which means even more money. So it's just not worth it. Now, what I was getting to was going to be unlocking these nodes before I jumped into a rant about the aerodynamics model. So here we have the decoupler as the only really useful thing on this node. But it is very useful. Useful enough that it is in contention versus this one that has landing struts, a little putt-putt engine to get you into orbit. That's what I use it for. And radio-mounted parachutes, which aren't really that useful currently for me, for how I build rockets. Landing legs aren't really useful either, because there's nowhere that I need to do a controlled landing. All my landings are going to be in atmosphere until I go to the moon. Or Minmus, depending on which one I want to go to first. Now, you might feel like, oh, this one would definitely be more helpful at first, like more engines, boom, faster rockets, big flying. But the only reason I'm going with this one, I'm going to go with this one, because, as you can see here, it unlocks more science parts. Well, science parts here, the Science Junior. And batteries are good. Having batteries is very good when you're going on moon missions, because you can couple that with the next node that's going to be up here, and that's electrics, and that gives you A, bigger batteries, and B, solar panels very early, which you need for moon missions. I mean, otherwise you just run out of power and you can't steer, and that generally leads to bad things happening when you can't steer a spaceship. And we also have stability control that has reaction wheels, our first probe body, an airplane cockpit, and our first it has our first like actual controllable winglet, which is semi-helpful. If you want to go off into aerodynamics, which I will eventually, just not right away, then that would be helpful. The next one I'm probably going to grab up is this one for the decouplers. Those are just insanely helpful in building functional rockets. And if I hadn't been a moron and been babbling the entire time, then I would have been able to get this, because I could have done science in the air, had not been an idiot, and I could have gotten this one and this one. But it's fine. We'll take care of it next episode, and after that we'll get this, because that leads off into rockets, which are helpful for interplanetary. But in the sphere of influence, you can basically get away with this first level of rocketry stuff, and then up here in the Kerbin sphere of influence. But we'll talk about that and more in the next episode. For right now, I have been Bad Raft Gaming. Please, 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 if you did like the video, do indeed like it down below. It's free, and it doesn't take all that long. Also, on your way out, smack that subscribe button right in the face on my channel page. Once again, I mean, doctors recommend it. Subscribing is good for your health. I mean, studies have shown 4 out of 5 squirrels recommend it. 4 out of 5 Kerbals recommend it. So, you know, and that's pretty good odds. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I will see you guys next time in the legit career mode Kerbal Space Program. Bye, guys.